Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Tarot Brunch at the Roundtable. And today I have with me Carla from Call Astrology and Zach from the Tigers Abyss. Hi, and welcome.
Hello.
And
Hold on a
today
second.
I have with me Carla.
It's hard to tell if you have that darn thing down or not. It's down.
Okay. All right. So, episode 10 today. So, we're going to talk about the tens of the minors, and we're also going to talk about the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun card. But before we start, the usual question to the two of you: do you have any, like, out in the real world kind of associations outside of tarot with the number 10, Carla?
No, my honey was born in October, so I mean, and he is a 10.
That's good. What about you, Zach?
I hope he watches it.
I'm like, for the most part, I'm like, everything that I know on numerology just comes from tarot. But I guess completion and the start of the next cycle, that's what I keep the 10 as. And that's, yeah. Outside of that, nothing. Yeah.
Well, for me, I don't really have any associations aside from house numbers, because this is the second time in my life that I'm living in a house that has the number 10. So that's like the only thing that I associate with that, like living situation kind of thing. So, okay, let's just dive right into it. And I'm just going to kick us off really quick with the usual suspect, the Tree of Life. And we are now down here in Malkut. So basically, today, we're going to wrap this whole thing up in a way. Okay, so Malkut, known as the kingdom, represents the entire physical world, so our earth that we live in. It focuses on the here and now, not past trauma and not future wishful thinking or worrying. So it is the place where we experience life in all of its senses, and even temptation belongs to that. So that is all part of our spiritual development and how we handle certain things, how we deal with it. Malkut is also how we perceive humanity. The archangel, like usually we had like one archangel for each of these 10 separate, but in Malkut now we have two. We have Metatron and Sandalphon. And that is to harmonize the male and female polarities, whereas Metatron stands for the male and Sandalphon for the female. And since Malkut is at the very bottom of the tree, it receives the combined energies of all the other ones, because it was kind of like going down in it from the upper Sephiroth. So it has no energy of its own. It receives and reflects. And in the human body, that would be like if you put a human body on top of this would be where the feet are. So like in the tree, this is where the roots are. And everything happens on Earth with all its limitations that are created, or everything is created by humans with limitations. So everything that we experience in Malkut is also with limitations, and we need to face them to move them up on the tree through the different paths. Each bring their own challenges with that, and down here is where we start. So that's what I have really quickly on Malkut. Zach, is there anything you would like to add?
I guess just that, though, you know, it kind of all ends in Malkut, it all kind of starts in Malkut as well. Keter is also in Malkut, and as well as like all of them. They say that it receives all of them, but particularly they say that Keter is in Malkut and it starts again. That's why you see in the Princess of Discs. I was like, maybe we should bring in the pages in the Princess. But I'm like, no. We'll keep it.
That's a different episode.
yeah. They go here, and the Princess of Discs is like the earthiest of the earth, and in there at the very bottom of the Thoth Princess of Discs, you see that white shining diamond in the earth, and that is Keter. And then the cycle kind of starts over again there. And yeah, that's
Hmm.
that's all I got there.
Okay. So let's talk about the wheel. Carla, why don't you start with your ideas of the wheel?
Well, I was going to add something to the tens, with tens being transformation. I was looking up in the Spirit Keepers, and she calls them mounting. So, like what you were talking about, Zach, being the beginning, and the also, or being the end, but also the start. It's like you get to that transformation part where you're either going to transform into something good or maybe not so good. So it's like either going up or down. So she calls the tens mounting, and like you had said, the emanation of the material world, and the fact that it encompasses all of the elements. So the first Wheel of Fortune card I pulled out of my Wizard Tarot, and let me try to get that glare off there. So, and I don't know if you can really see it, but well, obviously you see the pentagram, but you also see like all the zodiac in there. And so it's like it encompasses all the houses. And so the Wheel of Fortune to me is almost like being reincarnated continuously, you know. So moving on from that, in the Light Seers, these are actually supposed to be symbolic of course, the RWS wheel, but these are what you call them, different dimensions or planes. So I think that's pretty cool, you know. So the Wheel of Fortune can be about luck. So this is a new artist I wanted to show everybody. She's not quite done with this deck, but I got this from my Goddess Provisions, and they sent me the major arcana of it. And her name is, let's see if I can pronounce it. I believe she is Asian, maybe. It is Anian. Have you heard of her? Anybody heard of her? No? Well, this, I just thought it was really cute. I got 2 cards and I wanted to give her a little shout out. This just means like a change of luck. So, but for me, I do look at the Wheel of Fortune as the bigger picture. And this is from the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. And it is more, hi, Farah. This is more to me like maybe Thoth. So this is the Fortune Fairy. And what I think is interesting, she has these dandelions up here. And then what happens when the dandelion, you know, it becomes like seeds. And so you blow on that. It's like it's at the end of its cycle. You blow on that. And then those seeds go into the earth. And what do you have next spring? More dandelions. So that's what I think of as the Wheel of Fortune. It's like, it's almost like a karmic cycle. And that's where I think of also, you know, Benna Bellwin's, the way she's got the tens mounting as transforming. They can go either way. So that's what I got for the wheel.
I got a question. Do you in America also make wishes when you blow away the dandelion seeds?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little thing. Yep.
All right. Zach, you're up.
Okay, so there's people trimming the front yard tree right outside. So if you hear that, that's why. That's that noise back there. So what I the Wheel of Fortune always stumps me, even though like I got like a good grasp on it esoterically and spiritually. It's like, so what it is, it's like, at least from Meditations on the Tarot, he writes that it is about spiritual evolution. It talks about redemption from the fall of the Garden of Eden and how we evolve and develop and become better people. It's that, what is it, the spirit keepers? No. Spirit keepers, no. The light seers, there we go. I confused the two. The name is very similar, with the wheels on top of the wheels on top of the wheel. That is like similar to what he says. It's like not only like different levels, but it's like it's the same, but it's different. You know, it's like sure the same things, but different people, different different settings, whatever, but the same things happen. But it's how we change and develop through those and deal with those that we work through. I don't know where to start with that, with what card to show, but you know, I guess with the Rider-Waite-Smith is the classic to show of the in here. You know, we have the 4 elements right there. Well, not the 4 elements. Well, the 4 alchemical elements with sulfur, mercury, salt, and water. I believe is what that's supposed to be. And so those are the 4 that work together, along with the Torah, Tarot, Orat, and then the whole pattern cycle there. I can go off on that, but I don't want to take too much time. But that is supposed to be the alchemical pattern that the magician follows that leads us to the sun, which is like numerically all related to 1. We have the Thoth here with the Sphinx, the monkey, and I believe that is supposed to be Set. No,
One of my
I'm
books
not
at
sure.
Anubis.
Anubis, right?
Yeah.
Maybe her. I can't. You know, because he has a crocodile head on. I'm like, okay, so Sobek and but like serpent leg. I'm like, I gotta freshen up on my Thoth here. But the point is that we see the 3 figures in each and every single one of those, of, you know, 1 at the top, 1 descending, and 1 ascending and rising up on the wheel. And so he talks about where is it? Let me see if I can find it here. And here's another one. This is from the Nepal. The same 3 figures there. And here it says it's like essentially without one of the figures, like I think without the Sphinx, Meditations on the Tarot says that like the 2 become like obsolete, and just it's like once you're at the top, you just eventually just start back at the bottom. It's like, no, it's about maintaining that at the top, you know, Sphinx mentality. So let me see if I can find it here, but it's probably going to be a lot. There's so much here, you know, that I wrote, but I'm like, damn. So yeah, but essentially he says that it's like not to think of it as a wheel, but as a spiral, rather, to help us, you know, gain into that center and to grow with the spinning of the cycles here. Another thing is fortune, which is like, again, similar to the dandelion and wish and luck and all that. We have in the Marielle the Wheel of Fortune here. And I was like, why is there a woman? Who is she? What's her name? What is she doing? Why did she put her here? And then I figured out, like, and then you see in the Visconti and the older decks, you see that same woman, or well, not the exact same, but a woman behind the wheel and holding the wheel, and that is the goddess Ananke. I believe that's how you pronounce that name, and that is the goddess of fortune, of fate and fortune, I believe. And so when it is thought that when we die, our souls go to this goddess and she sends us back, I believe, in the Greek philosophy and on that. What else? It's also very time focused, you know, where, you know, we're at least here with this Yohali Hekatel, I believe. I'm probably butchering that, but this here, it shows the calendar of the Mexica. And so here it shows the 4 different types of years that they have. And at the very center, you have the flint, which is a sacrificial knife. And the idea is that sacrifice keeps the wheel and time rotating. The god here at the very top is the god of time and fire. The coral snake is vice, and it's the same time god here ascending the wheel. And so it's all about ascending and, you know, not giving into those vices and those carnal pleasures of the material world here. And so that's what I got there. I think that sums it up. If not, I'm going to be just repeating myself and going in a circle.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, well, it's interesting that you said that spiral thing, because I actually have one card where I always wondered why did they do that, but now it kind of makes sense. The time, the spiral, the clock kind of thing. So this is from my Vampiria tarot, and I really love this depiction of the wheel. But let's take a step back and let's look at some Golden Dawn cards. So here we have the Robert Wang deck, and here we have the Hermetic Tarot. And on the Hermetic Tarot, I only see the Sphinx up there. And here we have the Sphinx and the monkey. And this is the 21st path. So on the tree, we are right here on that side between 4 and 7. So this is linking Netzach, number 7, and Chesed together. So the desire nature and the divine mercy are linked together here. We have Jupiter acting through Jupiter direct on Venus. So Jupiter is the planetary association with this card. And the wheel is a symbol for karma. Time has already been mentioned. So, and things are always fluctuating with this. So it's life, death, rebirth, the whole thing over and over again. And the path 21, is called Rewarding Intelligence of Conciliation. Big words. So it also like attributes to memory, is what I read. And it connects riches and poverty, and it's up to the seeker to determine where to search for the riches, for example, and what you consider like being rich and poor. The path requires considerable effort, is what it said in my book. And the letter that goes with that path is Kaf. Am I saying that right? And that means, or one of the meanings is palm of the hand, where traditionally in the palm of your hand you hold destiny and fortune. So that's the connection between the hand and the wheel of fortune. And Paul Foster-Case, one of the people in the Golden Dawn, he says that this path is for true seekers only. Well, I mean, at this point, like when you get up here and you've already gone through that part, like by that part, okay, you are a true seeker. So I think that kind of goes without saying, because at that point, you're probably putting in the work. And so he says the true seeker is the one who's trying to answer the riddle of the Sphinx, which is the question, what does it mean to be human? And the interesting thing that I read was in Hindu philosophy, the idea is to actually get off the wheel, whereas in Western esoteric tradition, the philosophy is to be in the world, not of it. So two different approaches here. And the challenge that comes with the wheel or with this path is to practice practice in mastering circumstance, balancing mood swings, and having patience or learning patience. So some other cards that I have here is the Initiatory Golden Dawn. And just like in the older version, the wheel has the different colors there. And there's also the monkey and the Sphinx. And that's the only, and no, here in this one, there's also a serpent that's kind of going through all these things. Yeah, it doesn't have that in this one. And this is a sun card. One of my kind of favorite depictions of the wheel that also, like, that was one of my, this was actually my first full 78 card deck, the Witch's Tarot. And here you have kind of like the weather report on it. You have like rain, rainbow, sunshine, you have thunderstorm, there is a horseshoe, there's a broken heart, so all these things. And I always like the idea of the handle and that you can kind of spin it yourself, and it's up to you how fast you spin it, how slow you go, and nothing is ever permanent, and it's up to you to change it to whatever weather you would like to have. In the Housewife's Tarot, here we have this gambling aspect. So this is like fortune that you can't really influence all too much. I don't know if I like that idea, as opposed to like I am the maker, creator of my own fortune based on how I act and what I do. And here this is all up to chance and luck. So I don't know if I like that depiction too much. And in the Haunted House Tarot here, the wheel is actually the door of a vault. And like something is hidden in there. We have the four figures that we see. We have them spread out across the room here. And yeah, so there's the bird, the man, the lion, the ox. But yeah, with the vault, this is a card that I would probably read a bit differently based on the fact that this is a vault and not more like the clock thing kind of thing. I could probably put it in context of maybe like a time capsule kind of thing, like going back to something and this idea of learning from the past to make sure that I don't repeat cycles that I don't want to get into anymore. But other than that, I think I would read this image a little bit differently than, say, this one. So that's what I have on the wheel. Let's go to the sun.
You know, I was just looking at that card and what you said, it makes me think of like, you know, how when you do something, you'll be like, maybe I need to do that again because I missed something. So what's being revealed could be what you missed the first time. And what you said about Hinduism, because I was looking up stuff about tens too earlier. I found that in Hinduism, Lord Vishnu, he appeared in the earth with 10 incarnations, and it was popularly known as, I don't know if I'm going to say this right, the Shavathar, which is what the 10 incarnations as a whole is called, and the Dasa, which means 10, and then the Avatar, roughly meaning incarnation. So it kind of reminds me of what Zach was talking about with the wheel. Every life cycle takes you to an ascension because of it. With the karmic wheel, you want to get to the sun. And yeah, the sun is all about positivity, joy, confidence. I mean, looks like she's got it all right there. She's just happy riding into the sunset, or not sunset, but sun, and you know, the total truth and light and happiness. I guess this is also a card for pregnancy. And a big yes card. And in the Light Seers, I did find it was interesting that she's got a sun rune on, and supposedly she is praying if I say this right too, the Gayatri Vedic mantra, and her reward is she's receiving the sunlight as an answer. So it's an illumination on everything that she has going on in her life, and it's illuminating her heart. So I just think that's beautiful. And let's see, and then this is the other card I picked out from the Anna Goyenart or it's the Anagoyan. It's cute. Then there's sunflowers. And then I have the hidden tarot, and which is more, I think, again, maybe Thoth based. So there's a little bit of a different meaning, I think, maybe.
That
But
you also see the dandelion again.
that's true. You are right. So
In
I
that,
don't have my book out on this, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, this one's like, I haven't read the book on this one either. This is very like one that I just like kind of read as is. But
Yeah.
there's that. I should have pulled that one out too. That's very. I'll get into it when I talk about what I have on the sun. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I got. So you're next.
Well. So, there was a few things, but maybe we'll go back to it later. But I might forget. But with Lady Knight's vault, I was like, it's probably like a code that cracks the safe and you break out of that safe. That is the wheel. But there's something so stagnant about that wheel that at first it just doesn't look like you can move it. You know, it doesn't look spinning and rotational as most wheels do. But I think that might help more with like, there's a code to get out of this pattern. And so when you see, and so they talk about it, I could, no, we're not going to get into that. We're out of the wheel. Let's move on to what I got on the sun. And pretty much the sun is pretty much like non-verbal communication of just understanding each other without having to explain each other. You know, there could be, we could be talking about, you know, for example, just as an example, this isn't what's going on now. That's not what I'm saying, but it could be talking about me and Lady Knight, or me and Carla could be talking about the Wheel of Fortune, and we could each be thinking we're saying one thing and that they're maybe disagreeing or agreeing with us, but we don't really fully get it. The sun here removes all of that, and that is like, none of that is here. Everything is clear and understanding. Everything, it's clarity. It's weirdly like intuition, which you usually think with like lunar high priestess type of thing. But you know, he points out that like in the sun you see two children, and they are, you know, they're touching each other, and they're able to connect with each other non-verbally, that they know what's going on, what they want to do, and what is up. Yeah, there's, yeah, what else is there? What, where else am I going with this? I mean, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much other than like the positivity of the sun, you know, of we're out of it, we've escaped it, we figured out the pattern, you know, which here you kind of see with the Thoth, the pattern of the zodiacal wheel here, and the sun in the center, and they're out of that walled hill. There could be more to it. I'm not going to get into it again. I'm dusty on my Thoth right now. But one that,
no.
I know, blasphemy. The next one, this one's probably like the creepiest sun that I have. But it is about, I believe, no, I should have read the book before I pulled this one out. This is from the Via Tarot. I believe it has something to do with the Holy Guardian Angel or something along those paths. I could be wrong, because Kabbalistically on the tree, it's like a path that isn't really there yet for communication with the Holy Guardian Angel. What else is there? We have, what other one? I'm going to do this last one, the Sephiroth Tarot. You don't see people in this one, but you do see the walled garden, and you do see the birds flying above the wall here. So I guess the birds are our escape from this garden, from not the garden, from the terrestrial wheel of, you know, of this earth, you know.
I wonder if that's the other side of the wall with the flowers there. Because usually you
Maybe.
just see the well, there are some flowers here as well, but I mean, since you don't see any kids, maybe that's the other side of the wall.
That is true. Traditional Rider-Waite-Smith has like the sunflowers behind the wall or above the wall. I don't know. But yeah, but that same like nonverbal communication, I kind of saw that same thing going on with that Terror of the Hidden Realm with the hands and the kids, and that was very. I'm like, huh. Like Terror of the Hidden Realm. Don't overlook that one.
Yeah, I know. I need to study the book. I don't really do too many readings with it, so I haven't, but
Yeah,
it's interesting for this stuff.
I usually read it for like sassy love readings of
Ooh.
like it's the deck that I pull out where I'm like, I know this is probably gonna be a dump him type of reading. And then usually I like it even like says the opposite. I'm like, okay, work.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
so let's get into this. So here we have the Robert Wang deck, and here we also have the kids that do look a bit creepy. And here in the Hermetic Tarot, they look a bit. Are they like teenagers or women? They're a bit older in this one. So these are these two Golden Dawn depictions here, and in the Initiatory Golden Dawn, here we also have the kids. And instead of just the wall, here we have an entire maze that they would then have to go through. Okay, so the sun is the Lord of Fire of the world, and we are on path 30, which is here, that little orange line right there. So this is connecting Yesod, the 9, with Hod, number 8. So the splendor of a firm basis. And we have Mercury acting through the sun upon the moon. That's the three things with these paths. And the sun is the center of our galaxy, of not of our universe, like our solar system, that's the word. And so it gives light, but it can also be harmful. So as much as it gives light, it can also burn it. And the function of this particular path is collecting information and experiences. The letter that goes with this path is Resh. And one of the meanings is fertility or barrenness, which also goes with the kids in a way. And also Resh means head. So in the human head, when we talk about the body, is the controlling element of life, just like the sun is the controlling element of life in our galaxy. And so this path also attempts to cultivate vision to clear away mental, emotional, and physical obstacles. It's also the path of alchemy. This is like one of the paths where you really do some alchemical work, and I have a card that kind of goes with that. And it's also the path of great discovery, where contact with the inner teacher is formed. And this is from the Ansata Tarot. So this is the Sun card. It is associated with Gemini here in this one. And so we see the two. These are not kids. These are adults. And behind them is like a laboratory. So here we have that link to the alchemy. And around the sun, we have the zodiac signs. And this, like around all of this. And there's also the tree in the middle. So yeah, I think this is a very interesting depiction, especially the combination with Gemini, since usually it's associated with the sun. But because of the two kids that we have here, the two naked children are supposed to be the twins of Gemini, from what I read in a book. and they are shown playing in the garden surrounded by a wall, or in some cases, a maze, or at least in this one, it's a maze. And the boy is supposed to stand for Taurus and the girl for the sign Cancer. The wall keeps the children in the garden, but once they have learned how to use their knowledge, then they can climb over the wall. And it says that the challenge of this path is to use clear analysis in looking at one's self, to balance thinking with feeling and intuition, to develop strength. And another card that also shows the wall. Here we have a couple, or like the twins of Gemini, but like a girl and a boy standing here, the sun in the middle. And also, are these sunflowers? I'm not quite sure if they're supposed to be sunflowers. They look kind of weird. They look kind of like, they remind me of marigold, but I don't think that's really what it is. Another, like, this is from the Gay Tarot. Here the wall is just being built. So this is the moment before the kids come and play in the garden, kind of, which I think is very interesting. And we also have the sunflowers here on the other side of the wall. And in the Housewives Tarot, this is, I don't really, like, I would have to sit with my notes and with this card for a while, because this is, like, the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this card. Like in Germany, we have this saying, if something is really good, it's, and I'm translating from German into English word by word, it's the yellow of the egg. That's basically the translation, meaning that the yellow of the egg is the best part. And so that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I see this card. But here we have a husband and a wife as the two people instead of the Gemini twins. And when it comes to the sun being very destructive in the Vampire Tarot, here we have, and there's a whole book series that goes with this deck. But here we have a vampire who is out after sunrise. And we can see that he is starting to burn up, and it's not going to be much longer until he is then actually gone. And in the Pagan Tarot here, this is the main character of the deck, so she's in all the cards. But here in the back, we have the two kids, and instead of a wall, here they're building a sand castle. So here we have this like in a different way, the wall, but there's no sunflowers here. But also like sitting on the beach. So if you don't wear sunscreen, then the sun can also, it can give you a really nice tan, but it can also give you a really bad sunburn. So yeah, with the sun, there's always, you have to be careful with that. Don't overdo it. And I see we have some people coming in. So Mary the Aries, hello. Thanks for being here. We have Sha Woman, hi. And we have Rhiannon, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. Okay, so next we are going into the minors. And the first one I would like to start with is the Suit of Wands.
So the 10 of Wands is the burden card, and even though it's still considered a yes card, so it's, you know, all about being overburdened, overloaded with your responsibilities. It's stress. Get a better view of him there. You know, all your struggles uphill, saddled, you know, it's maybe he's being taken for granted. That's my wizard tarot. In the Light Seers, this is all about the same thing, but it could be to, you know, release your burdens. In fact, it says in the book she's releasing her burdens, knowing that the universe is there to help her with the essentials. And in my Spirit Keepers, I grabbed that one out because that is Atlas holding up the firmament. And I thought that that's really cool because, I mean, it kind of goes along with our conversation of, tens and the wheel and the sun. So all that stuff is like, it can burden you too. I mean, these cards are so intricate. I mean, and if you have the book of maps, she goes into what all that is, but you can see the zodiac in there. So I mean, it's everything about life can it's carrying all of it, and then of course I did pull out the hidden realm, and not quite sure. It's almost like he's having to take on, without reading in the book, like he's got to take on all of his, the duty that the say whatever tribe or whatever his ancestors are asking of him. He's got to take all that on, and he's a young boy. I do love the image.
What is he holding? Is that an egg?
It could be. It could be. It's interesting that you even say that. I thought maybe it might be a stone, but maybe you're right.
Whatever it is, it's important.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get the book out.
Yeah, maybe if we read.
Yeah, I have it here, but goodness gracious. How long do we have here?
We've got all night.
He's good along the Thoth. So I figured I did get all my Thoth out, but I figured since you have Thoth that I would lead with that, and then I don't know, maybe you could explain it better, because it is the hidden realm it follows the whole Thoth system. It's interesting, but that's what I have for the Ten of Wands.
All right.
Okay, so the Ten of Wands. So, like, talking with just number and element, 10 and fire, earth and fire. It's sort of like you kind of want to. I usually tend to blend those two, but then that just makes me think of the Page of Wands or the Knight of Discs. But we're talking here about the Ten of Wands, and that is, again, oppression, burdens, being weighed down, too much on your plate. Typical classic Rider-Waite-Smith imagery here. What I do like is how you can kind of layer this card onto the Tree of Life a bit, and where all the wands are kind of crossing right here could be viewed as Malkut. And everything down is like being received. Going the wrong way. Being received down into where he's holding that, or it's Yesod. I can't remember what it is, but whichever works best. Because some people don't have those two extra paths leading to Malkuth, where they just have that one path leading from Yesod to Malkuth. Some traditions don't have those two extra side paths connecting Malkuth to Netzach and Malkuth to Hod. But anyways, what I do like is the Ocean Dry Tarot, his 10 of Wands, where the colors are supposed to look like a dying fire. The light is kind of dimming, but what I like is that it's a ladder that you can climb up on, or a bridge perhaps that you can walk on. Though, I mean, a bridge or a ladder that's been through a fire, I don't know how structurally sound that is. Some stuff you can read into. Another different take with the Ten of Wands is conquest and on a mission sort of type of take here with the Mariel 10 of Wands. We have the Conqueror, or war, I believe, the war, the what is it? The horsemen of the apocalypse, and it's war, death, famine, pestilence, and here it is war, conquest, and combat, to go off and face your enemies here. And then we have, what is the next one? What next? One of my favorites right now is from the Sephiroth, which has the which looks like a little labyrinth or a maze here, and it's very protective of this golden flower here. I don't know if you can show the shine on this, but yeah, and so it seems very protected, even though there is a way in, and even though the flower fully bloomed, you know, could be crushed amongst these vines, you know. The last one is the Thoth. I'm going to get into oppression. And this, you see these smaller, very delicate looking wands here behind these two massive lead spears here. And so that, you know, and that shows the Saturn with Sagittarius blend going on there in the decan of the last decan here. So this one here is, I think this one, right? With the flower?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sephirot. That's what it's called, Sephirot. S-E-F-I-R-O-T. I believe is how you spell that.
Is it still available somewhere, or was that just Kickstarter?
It was on Kickstarter. It is going to be on pre-order. It should be available on pre-order from Hay House or Blue Angel. Pre-order should be coming soon though for this deck to get it mass market. I don't know what the differences are going to be between my version and that one. Hopefully they're able to keep that gold on there because it looks really cool, and so far it's holding up with the shuffles. Yeah. But I think you can get it on their website, but I'm not sure what the website is. I don't know. I need to check.
You could probably Google that one.
Yeah. Sephirot Tarot, Gausa Creations, I think is what it's called. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, the decan, gosh, it's about ends. A lot of these last mutable sign decans are about ending. So all these 10s are the last decan, the last part of a mutable ending sign. So it's all about death, endings, sacrifice, and yeah, killing something off, that type of thing. So yeah, you're gonna see that throughout all of these. I think the 10 of Wands compared to that seems a little more positive, seeing how it's like you're alive even, but you still got a lot of work to do, but at least you're alive. At least you don't have to do some dirty work there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. So here is the Robert Wang deck again. And just for quick comparison, this was the 9, and now we're going into the 10. And in the Hermetic Tarot, the Lord of Oppression looks like this. Okay, so we have Saturn in Sagittarius now with the 10 of Wands, and what we see here, like what the Golden Dawn initially came up with, was to have 4 hands that are holding the wands, like previously, even in the 8 and the 9. And instead of 1, like in the 9, now we have 2 additional wands coming up here. And the Golden Dawn talked about this card in a sense of cruel and overbearing force and energy, but applied only to selfish and material ends. And it also stands sometimes for failure when the opposition is too strong to be controlled. And after the person was too selfish to even start with, and maybe like an argument, for example. The card also can signify lying, malice, slander, envy, injustice, but also self-sacrifice and being not interested in something. So the fiery energy of the wands is cut off from the source. It became a blind force without direction or modification. And the Saturn in Sagittarius is detriment because the slow, heavy, yet destructive energies of Saturn are kind of like a lead ball that are crushing the quick energies of the Sagittarius in this. So yeah, this is like oppression, suppression as a result. And here we have kind of like fire in its worst aspect, with like the selfishness and the cruelty kind of thing. And in the initiatory Golden Dawn, here, like, there's this door that's being cracked open, and on the door we can still see this imagery that they put on there. And then there's this guy guarding the door with a, I think it's like a Doberman dog. And yeah, here in the, this is the Lo Scarabeo tarot, and here, instead of carrying the wands like this, at least this guy was smart and put them all on his back. But something that's different here is they're smoking. So if they keep burning down, like they're kind of on fire, so it's like not really seeing the danger that's behind him. He doesn't really have a grasp on the situation of what's going on, and he's on his way home to the village there. And something that's burning even more in the haunted house tarot, here they use all of those 10 wands to burn the witch on the pyre. So there's the very destructive, cruel energy of that fire. And in the RWS, we have the creative process is kind of damped. Like for me, this when I look at this card, it's like there's not really a whole lot that this person can do, because they don't even see where they're going. It's like this saying that you don't see the forest for the trees. And that's kind of what it is. Like at any moment, if there's an obstacle in the way, he could just trip over it, and then everything is just falling apart. And what else did I write down? So yeah, and it says that in Malkut, it is also expressed as a separation card. And in a way, yeah, with like not really seeing where he's going and like doing his own thing, he kind of separates himself off from everything else. It's completely in his own world. And yeah, we already said Malkut is associated with the souls of the feet, and the figure is on the move, pushing forward. However, he is separated from his creative expression. And not dropping a wand seems more important to him than allowing his intuition to manifest his wishes. So this is really just focus. I got to do this. I got to hold this together, and not allowing for much freedom in that sense. What else do I have? So here in the Housewife's Tarot, this is like all the cleaning supplies all at once. Like, where do I even start? Oh my God, this is too much. I can't. I don't want to help. And in the Pagan Tarot, here she is collecting some wands. She's holding one in her hand, but then there's also some down here. She also has other things that she needs for her ritual, but it's kind of difficult to carry everything all at once. So here she has to make a decision, like, okay, what do I carry first? How do I start with this ritual? What do I do first, then second, and all of that, to make sure that everything works out the way that it's supposed to. Okay, so next up is the Ten of Swords.
Well, since I got scolded, I made sure I got that book out. So and you're right, because it is very important. The egg is a phoenix egg.
Ooh.
And so, you know, you've got fire for one, and you know, fire might burn and destroy, but then the phoenix rises. So I mean, that's really beautiful. But I got the book out so that I don't do that again, Zach. Okay. Anyway, so we got the Ten of Swords, which there's no excuses, you know. In my Wizard Tarot, He's got all those swords in his back. And this is a no card. This is defeat and endings. Bitterness. Hitting rock bottom. Having a breakdown, ruin, failure. But it's also something that I'm a little bit curious about, and I don't know if you guys ever think about it. When you do a astrological association, like, isn't it the sun in Gemini? So I mean, even it just makes me question. I think of the sun as an illumination, and then Gemini as being maybe double-minded, but so I don't know. Maybe I guess I could see where you're struggling with your own thoughts, maybe. So, and then in the light seers, this one, it really speaks of like, oh, I'm just gonna pull it out so I don't get it wrong. This one speaks of healing, like walking away from it. Walking away from something that's not serving you anymore. But it could also mean not wanting to let go of something, like staying stuck in something. So let's see. I don't have much, actually. I don't think it. Oh, yes, I do. I have the Ten of Swords from the Hidden Realm. I'm going to read it to you because I don't have any notes on it. But she looks pretty vicious, doesn't she? She almost looks like she does have the Gemini thing going on. No offense.
Love her.
Kind of Queen of Swordsy.
Yeah, definitely. So this is saying that life can get hard and situations can get bad. So one more catastrophe, one more accident, and you're getting your head chopped off. Well, that's not what it says, but that's what I'm looking at. So she's as frightening as the Morrigan can be, and as harsh as her gifts may seem, blessed relief follows in her wake. I know I wouldn't want to come across her, so
I don't want to mess with her.
Yeah.
I think she's nice. I could get to know her.
You're always going to know where you stand.
Yeah. If I get hurt, I mean, that's on me. I know what I'm getting myself into.
That's true. That's true. That's it. That's what I got.
Okay.
Okay. So a good little helpful tip with the astrological stuff. It's keep in mind with the decans, it's not the sun in all of Gemini. It's particularly the last 10 degrees of Gemini. It's that last section of Gemini.
Okay.
The sun, that the sun just so happens to do really well in that section, though that's just its rulership. It's so the last decan of Gemini relates to. I should have been flipping through my cards and getting the Ten of Swords out. The last the Ten of Swords relates to not the Ten of Swords. The last decan of Gemini. This last part is the myth of Castor and Pollux, the twins, and one of them has to die, or one of them dies. It's about twins that die. Essentially, one of them dies. I think another example could be they're not twins, but they are good friends. Good friends. Who was it? Gilgamesh, right? The ancient Mesopotamian Enkidu and Gilgamesh, right? Am I right? That's right. If not,
I only know the Gilgamesh name. I don't know the other one.
Right. Great friends. Really great friends. One of them dies. I think Gilgamesh sacrifices his immortality to help his friend, and he comes back to life or something. I think I could be misremembering that now that I say it out loud. But the same happens with Pollux and Castor and Pollux, or a different set of twins. I believe that's their names. And through some way, they also help Chiron. I could be wrong, but that's the basic point, and that's why it's oblique, the Ten of Swords, because one would think it's the sun, and with Gemini, such an intellectual sign, with the sun, it seems to make sense. But in the last part of Gemini, it's like you can't have the best, you can't have your cake and eat it too here. You can't have the best of both worlds. You got to pick one. A choice has to be made. So yeah, so I'm like she just had to go mixing up the order. I'm so used to wands, cups, swords, pentacle.
Sorry, that's just my order.
We're on her channel, I forget. So here we have the Ten of Swords in the Marielle, death on a pale horse, ready to kill off, I believe, a fourth of the world is what's said in the apocalypse, in the book of Revelations. We have here, not sure what to make of this one. I mean, the Ten of Wands was pretty intuitive for me, but this one, it's the purples and the pinks, but all the swords pointing down. Something about that with the Ocean Dry Tarot. I'm like, but moving on, Rider-Waite-Smith is another one that has something fun with the sun association. Not only do you see the yellow in the back, but also it is said that the cape on the man is the flag in the sun card of the Rider-Waite-Smith, which I love that. I was like, work. And also a lot of solar kings that die, I believe. There's a lot of myths with that, of sun kings or kings that are the sun that die. But time-wise, Gemini doesn't really mark that time. Usually that comes at the equinox or something towards, or the solstice. One of the solstices or equinoxes where the days start getting shorter in autumn and winter, and that's when the sun king is dying. What else? Let's see. How did they do in the Sephiroth Tarot? This one's cool. They made it very shiny and bright.
Pretty.
Yeah, with the double-handed sword in the very center, with all the different types of swords just going at it towards the handle.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to see what. Did I put it back here where I should have? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I was smart this time because sometimes I threw it into the box with the board game, and that's very hard to get right now. Let me see, because I like the little keywords that they give on here. Let me see if I remember. Hopefully they didn't do just a generic sounding one for the Ten of Swords that we would expect in like Rider-Waite-Smith. Oh, look at that. Not what I expected. Ten of Swords. Their little keyword that they put on it. It takes two.
Well, yeah, he didn't put the swords in by himself.
Yeah. That is true. Who did it? Who did it? What's his name? Let me see. What does Universal Tarot show? Yeah, Universal. Pretty bleak with this. And here they say it's I believe he says it's a black hole, a star that died. Not the sun itself. Right there, that circle at the very top between the twins, the constellation of the twins. I think all of them are little black holes. Yeah, they're not stars. They're all dying stars.
It's interesting that the swords are all like completely beaten up.
Yeah, chipped and broken.
Yeah.
Ruin.
So it's like your fight is over.
Yep.
Zach, I have a question. When you look at the RWS deck, did you ever notice the hand of the person? Do you have is that a Hierophant or?
And that's higher. It's higher. And it's benediction. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the benediction. It's also the sword mudra, I believe, which is fitting for the swords. That's, at least I got that from Damien Eccles. He always says doing the sword mudra. That's what that is right there. So technically 11 swords.
Okay. And it was Enkidu. I just looked it up.
Okay, good.
All right. So in the Robert Wang deck, so this is the 10, and we're coming from the 9. So just to show you the progress. So in the 10, now we have one more hand. So now 6 hands are holding these swords, but there's still like these double swords, and there's just one more coming in at the bottom, and now they're crossed. This is called the Lord of Ruin. This is what the Hermetic Tarot looks like. So here we have kind of like this. It could also probably be like a black hole here in the middle with all the swords and that burst of energy there. And yeah, so Sun and Gemini, we already said that. And also in this card, just like in the previous one, we don't have the rose anymore. So that, like, the rose of peace is now completely gone, not coming back anymore. So this card in the Golden Dawn was associated with undisciplined force, complete disruption and failure, ruin of all plans and projects. So here we have someone who repeats things without learning from it. So this is when we spin the wheel and we haven't really learned from the past. And the disruption that we see in this card, yeah, it has already been started in earlier cards. So this is now leading up to the final moment, so to speak, the disaster, if you want to call it that. And this is also like for loss of possessions. It is, yeah, like with the Sun in Gemini, the solar energy is weakened by the duality of the air sign, and the result is disorder and complete devastation, is what it said in my book. Here I have a very different version in the Initiatory Golden Dawn. So here's like kind of like a temple collapsing, and this really muscular guy is he's swinging like this huge hammer kind of tool, and he's like the one who's bringing it all down. So like going up against the stone, the swords, they are all parked here, like they couldn't really do anything anymore. The fight is over, and now it's time to really get rid of everything that was left, and just like this is complete destruction. Like to me, this is kind of like a little bit of an overkill situation, because like if the fight has been won, do I really need to destroy everything that belonged to the person that lost? So like in some cases maybe, but like it's not the building's fault. So I don't know with that one. And in the Housewives Tarot, here we have like a needle cushion. So this also kind of reminds me a little bit of voodoo, like putting the needles in and like casting a little spell with it and something. Do you feel it yet? No? Let me put another one in. So yeah, but you, here with the hand, we can also see like you can put those in, but you can also take those out. Like you have the power. This is not being done to you. This is some external things here, and we are the master of the needle cushion, so we decide what happens to it. And so with the RWS, like at this one, the good news is there is no 11 of swords. So we have reached rock bottom. This is as dark as it gets, which means that it's only up from here on out. So like with the tree, we're down here, and so now the only way is up. So that's the good news. Yeah, it's the end of a process. Something ends, but we don't end. It's just like the situation, whatever we're in, that's over. And this is the point where we can choose how we want to proceed from now on. So we can't go any more down than that. It's this card also, to me, like with laying like that, talks to me about humiliation, degradation, and also physical abuse. is what I see with this card. And like when it comes to the rock bottom situation, like some people, they really need this in order to realize, okay, I need to implement some changes in my life. And especially if it comes to addictive behavior and self-destruction in a way that sometimes it just needs to get really, really bad before we can then say, okay, I can't live like this anymore. This is not working. This is not who I want to be. And yeah, once we then return to life, we can begin to understand what it was that we were actually going through, and the death in a certain way that we have experienced by letting like an old habit die or something like that. A very interesting card for me in a modern version is here we have a computer screen and we have the picture on the screen, and the person is pulling out the plug from the computer. So in a way, trying to shut it off. But the interesting part for me is the plug is kind of already out. Like at this point, if you really pull it out this far, the computer should already be off. So it's maybe like two ways of reading it, like one more second and it's really going to be gone. But on the other side, like just pulling the plug might not be enough. Like this is denial in a way for me, looking at this. So it takes a little bit like more work to actually put into this to get this picture removed, and simply pulling the plug might not be enough. Like for me, that's not really facing the problem. But something that I also associate with the Ten of Swords, since like swords is the air and the like for thinking and everything, like mental health in a way. And what I like about this is that it's going like all in the head and even through the eye. So like the majority of problems that we face are in our head. It's like what we create in our head. Just like with the sun card that talks about like the head being the center of like the thinking part is like what runs this body. And so yeah, like mental health is a big part for me when it comes to this card, and knowing when it's time to get help, that you don't have to face all of this by yourself. Like I'm sure there's people around that can be asked for help or get professional help, things like that. So for me, this card is like, okay, this is the moment where you realize in certain readings, like it's best not to do this alone. Like this is as far as you can go by yourself, but now just bring someone else in. Or also like in the pagan tarot, here she has like she's stepping on a sword, like she put it on the steps in order to break it. Some are already broken, some are already in the trash can. So this is like taking control, taking charge. This is my life. This is how I want to do it. I'm not going to be controlled by any outside influences. I'm in charge. I'm the master of my destiny. And yeah, so just destroying that. Or in the Low Scarabeo tarot, this is walking away from this. But what I don't quite understand, and there's not really like a nice guidebook with this, 8 swords have been put into the ground with the tips here, and 2 are standing here by the handles together. So not really sure why they put it that way, because like in a normal situation, no one puts a sword like that, because if you want to touch it, you might cut yourself. So those are the swords that I have, and let's go to the next suit, which is the Pentacles.
All right. So the 10 of Pentacles. This is a yes card. This one is all about wealth and culmination, but it's not just material. It could be like a wealth of knowledge. It's about foundations. So, I mean, when I think of the Ten of Pentacles, I think of like even for myself, it could be spiritual wealth. It could be family wealth. It's stability. But it can also be inheritance. In the light seers, like what I see here is like family wealth, community wealth. And the little catchphrase or the little phrase inside the book is I am successful and I share my wealth with those that I love. So I think of community with this card. And in the Hidden Realm Tarot, this one is called, I guess it doesn't have it. Usually it does have something on there. Well, this card says that the energy of Earth shines beautifully and portends great things in a reading. So for here, this is abundance, but also deep connections to the past, which provide a long-term sense of stability. But it can also be stagnation, which can, it just depends on like what you're planting. You know, will the seeds be fruitful? So, I mean, it just depends, I guess, but because there's a shadow of everything. So, and this card also says that it's not just material. So the deep roots and forward focus bring a loving spiritual quality along with physical happiness. So that kind of makes sense to me. If you're happy here, then you're happy everywhere. I guess it would be a great card of manifestation, really. So that's really all I have. I don't want to get anything else out.
Okay.
All right. So the Ten of Discs, the Ten of Pentacles, as Carla was saying, wealth, value, and the what else? Yeah, valuables, with and inheritance. I always see it as multi-generational, as not only the elder, the grandfather, but also his children and his children's children are there, as well as the dogs, and the pets are there too. And here it's with this decan, it's Mercury Virgo, I believe, the Mercury ruled Virgo decan, which is where we get analytical and looking at the nitty gritty of what is the value of this, what is it's like appraisals of property or things that you have, and so like with an inheritance, it's like who gets what. It gets into that, like who deserves this, who gets the house in the end. And so it's like you see that also, like who gets what type of mentality here with the Ten of Discs, with the weighing of the scales here. Each person gets a ration, with the Marielle here, during famine, I believe, or pestilence, when, right? I can't remember. What is pestilence? I believe famine is a better thing. When food is scarce, it becomes even more valuable. You got to learn to really calculate how much everyone gets when, and that's where this kind of decan comes into this one with Malkut and in Earth, the earthiest of Earth. Though usually because it's so earthy, it kind of plays out pretty well and behaves pretty well here. Not so much the scarcity part. There's pretty much an abundance here, wealth, as they say. With the coins falling in the Thoth here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's it? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Okay. Which one's that? Okay, here is the 10 in the Robert Wang deck, and we're coming from this. So now we have all the pentacles here on this rose branch, not a bush. And as opposed to the 9, here we still had some rose buds that were coming in. We don't have that anymore with the 10. Now we just have full bloom roses here. And in the Hermetic Tarot, this is what it looks like. So there's no hand holding it, but each pentacle has one of these flowers here. And it is the Lord of Wealth. And this is what it looks like in the Initiatory Golden Dawn. So here we have a person tending to the flowers, and we have the rosebuds again, not just in full bloom, everything. And yeah, he's reaching for one of the flowers. And then in the back here, we have a couple that has just had a baby. So here we have the kind of family aspect. And yeah, we already said Mercury in Virgo. So this card in the Golden Dawn is being talked about as completion of material gain and fortune, but nothing beyond that. This is the pinnacle of success, riches, and wealth. And Carla, as you have already said, this is the card of manifestation or total manifestation. This is what we're thriving for. Like, this is what we want to get, the ultimate goal. And something that is also interesting is that the pentacles on this card make up the tree of life. And I was wondering, Zach, on the Mary L, is that also a tree of life with the pentacles? Because I didn't see the top ones. I thought I saw like the bottom ones.
Kind of. Even I'm like, where's the whole tree? I guess maybe the antlers kind of make the top two. It's sort of it.
Because I'm only counting 7 there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the lower.
Yeah. Yeah, she gets weird with the Tree of Life depictions here. You can see another star right there, right above the hand. So I'm like, maybe that's Keter, and the antlers are Hokmah and Binah, the top 2, and there's your 3 to make the total of 10. But yeah, I'm not quite sure. I believe there's 10 horns at least. I think. I'm not sure. They're so messy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think, yeah, like 5 on each, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe it's one that's something that I've been like, where's the whole tree, Mary White?
Yeah,
where is it? But I think with the 7, the 7 might just be like the planets, and that's what she's kind of going for, which is what in the Nepal, all the, I believe, let me check. I didn't have them in order, but the Nepal shows the planetary ones for each of the discs. You have the moon in the 9 in that little cube there. You have the moon there. And then let me see if I can find another one real quick. Just one more. For, yeah, here with Binah for 3, we have Saturn. And so it goes down, I believe, like in 5, Mars is in the 5 of Pentacles. It's in that cube in that deck. So I think that's what she might be playing off of. Maybe.
Okay. And this is also the only card in the RWS deck, at least, where we see the pentacles or the suit in this order making up the Tree of Life. And yeah, the Mercury in Virgo guarantees great material gain and prosperity, yet no spiritual growth is assured with that. So riches, yes. Happiness, meh. And yeah, and like in this card, even though we see like different generations in here, but for me, there's always the question, how are these people related to each other? Because like this old man always seems to be kind of by himself, and yeah, he's watching these people. And for me is also always the question, am I looking in or out? Like, is he sitting outside of the gate and the real thing is in there? Or is he inside of the home and that's the outside village or something? Like I can't really, just by looking at it, decide which is which. And yeah, also something like the pentacles seem to be kind of in the way of some of the details. So with the pentacles, for me, there's also like with this being like material and money kind of thing, there's like with money, there's always a certain danger for me because how much are we allowing material things to take over? How much importance do we give them over something like family values, spirituality, all the things that come from the heart that make us happy that have nothing to do with money? So where do we place our importance, especially when we want to manifest something? And money is something that can get between people in relationships and friendships. And a lot of times, those unreconcilable differences in a marriage, if it's not cheating, then it's money. It's the reason for divorce. So yeah, like money can be a blessing, but it can also be a curse. And yeah, with this, like the looking out or looking in, it's all a matter of perspective. Like especially in this card here, more than with other cards, is what I see. And yeah, here we have a chance to remember the opportunities. Like where do we actually come from? Like the old man has probably like he can reflect on his whole life. The couple, they're like in the middle, and the child is still going that entire way of life. So it's like, yeah, what have we done with our life? Where do we want to go? All of that. And for me personally, when I look at the tree, or even like in this depiction, for me, I see this as a map or like a guiding system to navigate life. Because there's so many lessons in here that relate back to everyday life. And personally, for me, going through those and having that connection to situations in my real life gives me a lot of aha moments and puts a lot of things in perspective for me. So this is something that I find really helpful. Okay, let's see some other cards. So here in the Pagan Tarot, we see what happens when you have too much stuff, because like the entire desk here, everything is full of books and boxes and stuff like that, and there's also a lot of jewelry, and she has already something else in her hand that she's trying to hang up. Eventually she's not going to be able to see her reflection anymore. So this is at some point it just becomes too much, and it's like losing yourself in all of this. And here the interesting thing for me is that these are all like wearing different things, and some people might say, okay, only this person looks really refined, and maybe this one, and that looks like rich, maybe this one as well, but these might not look as rich. But like the looks can be deceiving. Just because they wear something that's comfortable for them, it doesn't say really anything about how much they have. And so this goes for me like, yeah, you can either show off your wealth or you can just enjoy it and live it. And maybe riches are not always just monetary. It can also mean having a very fulfilled life, having some opportunities. You might not have $1 million in the bank, but you can still feel rich if you have people in your life that care about you, that you care about, the family, all of that. And in the Lo Scarabeo Tarot, here the man is holding the pentacles, making up the tree of life. I don't know how that would be possible. Like he's probably some magician, because they're not connected at all. They're just floating there. And here on this side is the dog. Here's a little girl, but we're missing the middle part. The I want to say adults. No, people in their 30s or 40s, the couple. So here we only have like the beginning and the end in the age group, so to speak. So that is, yeah, I don't know why they left those people out. And yeah, that's what I have for the pentacles. So let's get to the last suit, and that's the cups.
Yay! All right. So this is the marriage card. It's a big yes card. It's happiness, family, homecomings, long-term relationships, stability, security. It's like counting your blessings. And the in the light seers, that's how I feel that. It's like, yes, they're extremely like, you know, overwhelmed with happiness. They're together. Looks like maybe those are the kids in the background. And I feel like these are the blessings. And it says, I live in a state of oneness by bringing harmony and love to my relationships. So I feel like it's also like using that, using your blessings and your family or the love that you have, as a way to move forward or to do great things with that. In the hidden realm, she's actually like brewing something magical, and she's, according to the book, she's actually using like herbs from her garden and putting her own time and energy into it, and she's brewing something really beautiful, and it's creating this magic. And so again, I feel like this is all like gathering your yeah, mine too. I just seen that. That's one of my favorites too. Gathering your blessings and using them and utilizing them. So, and that's short and sweet, and that's what I got.
Okay.
All right. I'm like, well, I'm here to bring the mood down. The 10 of Cups. because that's usually, but usually for the most part, I when I read it for others, it's like, oh yeah, things are great, you know, but things are great for now. You know?
Oh yeah, yes. Mm-hmm.
Because you know, the rainbow is a perfect example of this. It's here for now, but not all the time. Anybody that starts, you know, gets married, you have the honeymoon, then what comes after?
Right.
You know, the first argument. It's the perfect example, I guess, of this card would be in season 1 of The White Lotus, the couple that are on their honeymoon there. If you guys have seen White Lotus, if you haven't, watch it. It's good. It's very fun. But that couple there, it's just a perfect example of, yeah, sure, you're married, but you know, it's heavy but. And it's all about that attaining that happiness. What's it going to take to get that happiness, you know, which is why Mars and Pisces is in here with the, you know, the go get 'em Mars is here to do what it takes to complete and attain what it wants. Once you got it, like, is that it? You're gonna get it again, or what are you gonna do? Like, what happens after? It's satisfaction, but not like fulfillment. That's what it is. It's satisfaction. It's not fulfillment. And here in the Universal Tarot, you see, I believe, no, it's all a bunch of religious paraphernalia, I believe. No, it's not. Sorry. Is it? I'm not sure. No, because that's not a rosary. That's a mala bead, I believe. You have the cross there, the symbol of Malkut. You have the incense for Yesod, and then you have the rose in Netzach, the prayer beads in Hod, the red star in Gabura, and the flames and the liquid in Hokmah and Bina, and then the crown in Keter. And then Hesed has the sphere with the crossed sphere in that. I can't remember whether those are supposed. I don't think so, but it would kind of make more sense. But I'll have to refresh my memory on that one. And so it's the next thing, Marielle would be the next one I would know. She relates this to the heart and how it's constantly pumping and flowing blood through the entire body, and that what the heart wants. And she writes on here, I believe this is the one where she writes, remember to live, I believe. Not like which is a play on remember you will die. It's memento morir, and here it's memento vivir, remember to live. Yeah, so it's, you get that momentary pleasure, but then you got to have something more than that. Yeah, that's all I got on that. I think I covered my bases.
Okay. So yeah, that's like an interesting thing. Like the cards are basically just a snapshot of a situation, and the interesting question would then be what would the 11s look like if they existed? Like what comes after? So okay, the Robert Wang deck. So this is the 10, and we're coming from the 9. So here we see the difference. And now we still have the 9 like before, but now we have the 10th cup up here, and it's pouring water into one of the cups. Also, there's coming water out of the flowers, and everything is overflowing. And yeah, we already said Mars in Pisces, and this is the Lord of perfected success. Here we have the Hermetic Tarot. And also, like, yeah, it's like flowing from the flowers into the cups. From the cups, it's like overflowing everywhere. And yeah, this is, let me see. So the Golden Dawn talks about this card in terms of permanent and lasting success, happiness inspired from above, and pleasure. Matters are arranged as wished, and it gives like complete good fortune. And this is basically the what happened after the 9 of Cups, where you really make all your wishes, and this is now the card where this is what it looks like when the wishes come true. And so that causes great happiness and fulfillment in the physical world. And yeah, but then the question is, what happens next? Because this is just a moment. And in the Initiatory Golden Dawn, this is what it looks like. So here we have the cups are on the dress, and the dress is blue. So here we have that relation to the water. And we have the 2 kids in here. So this play on the Gemini again, in a way, because they look like they're the same age. And in the when it comes to RWS, for me, this, let me just separate that. This, yeah, it seems like a very joyful card. And, you know, now you have the family and everyone's happy, and we can enjoy everything that we have. But, and maybe this is the couple from the 2 of Cups, now a little bit older, and now they have like their family, and they are facing not each other anymore. Now they're facing like into the world, and they're embracing, like they have their arms open, like whatever comes our way, let's do this in this very moment. And yeah, like the children also, like this reminder of the Sun card that we can find in this card, for example. Same thing. They're dancing around looking like they're the same age. But this is also a card of disconnect. Like in this card, I can see it, for example, he has his hand on his back, but the other hand here is not really connected to them. That's like a first indicator. Then also there's like the adults are not really paying attention to the kids. The kids are not really paying attention to the adults. They're all in their own little bubbles. They are not anywhere near the house. They are far away from it. So there's a lot of like disconnect in this card. So this is like, yeah, we're in this moment now, but really the question is, what do you do with it? Just because you're happy now doesn't mean you're going to be happy tomorrow. And if love wants to be complete, it must be inclusive, and you need to connect the things to your soul, which is kind of missing in this card. But that would be the challenge. Like when you get this card, okay, there's like a little bit more that you can do to make sure that you can see that rainbow another day again. And yeah, in another card, like this card, it's kind of funny, but I don't really get it. Like, why is she doing that weird thing under her arm? I have no idea. In the Housewife's Tarot. And yeah, here, and instead of the kids, we have two guests that are coming to her party, and she has all these different kinds of drinks. So everything is like, it's good and cool and yay, party and all of that. But I really don't understand this gesture. I have no idea what they were thinking with that one. Can't explain it for the life of me. Like, even if that was dance position, like, why would I don't know. In the Pagan Tarot, here we have the Coven, and so some of these that we have already seen in previous cards, like they have also the different colors depending on their positions in the Coven and everything. So here they all face each other. So this is really the coming together, and yeah, there's the rainbow, but they're not paying attention to it. They're paying attention to what they're actually doing here together, what they're creating, and manifesting, what they're putting out there, cheering with their cups towards each other, all ages, like from the small kid to the old women or the old woman and the old man and everyone in between. And in the Vampire Tarot here, I also like that the cards, or the mirrors here, are supposed to be the cups, and this ribbon is going through that. And so here I can see that sense of connection that for me is missing in this card. So here I like that it actually ties together. But then on the other hand, they're all facing the same way. So it's like connect, not quite yet, but we want to get there. Like it's on the way. And here in the haunted house, also like a very traditional thing. And here she said, like the way that she just described it, this guy right here is actually the Knight of Pentacles that she put in with the main character of this deck, Raven. And here we have the two girls that are also in the Two of Pentacles, the Shining Twins. Yeah. And so yeah, here like she does this quite a few times in her deck, Sasha Graham, that she puts people from some cards into other cards as well, and creating that sense of connection that not everyone is just like, this is your card, this is your card, this is your card, but they actually go from one card to another, and it's like a connection kind of thing. And I really like that about this deck and the way that she has done that. Okay, so this is what I have for the cups. Now let me do this here on my cell phone. Yeah, that works. Okay, now we have talked about all of the cards, and that means we're basically through this whole thing. Woo! And now, if anyone has any questions in the chat regarding the tens, the sun, or anything, let us know, and we will try to answer them if we can. But I also have some questions for my guests here. So the first question is for Carla. So after all these 10 episodes that we have done so far, and like going through this entire thing, what's your take on tarot? Because you came to the tarot fairly recently, and so what have these 10 episodes done with you in terms of how you see the tarot?
One of the biggest things is because I've had to learn the meanings, like the basic meanings, the basic RWS meanings, but it's helped me one like as soon as I get some more money anyway, I want to go do some more shopping, because when you guys pull out all these different decks that like show me the other ways to look at the tarot, you know what I mean? Instead of just the basic, you know, but because the artwork itself is so important. And before, honestly, it was just like, oh, that looks pretty, you know? But now symbolism is so much more important. And but I have such a very small tarot village, you know, that when I expand, I'm going to be looking at more now than just basic artwork like RWS. I want more, so that I can pull out my deck that says, you know, this is going to be more what you need to answer that question. Well, or this deck. So it honestly, it is definitely, the artwork is changing majorly for me, and I'm thankful.
Yeah, it's the same for me too. Like after reading up on like the Tree of Life, the different paths, and the Sephiroth and everything, I have become more picky with choosing decks, especially spending money on them, and how I see the images, and actually thinking like, okay, what was the creator thinking? Like, is just a pretty deck, or is there something in it?
Yep.
So I also have a question for Zach. So in this book here, my guidebook for the what is it, the Ritual Golden Dawn Tarot, there was a statement that said, in the minors, the Sephirotic attributes take precedent over all other symbolism. And so my question to you is why? And do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? And as a follow-up question, why does it even make sense for us to look at the tarot through the Tree of Life as readers? Like, what kind of benefits can we get from that?
where, where do I start? Where to start with that? Okay, so I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, it's because they are minor arcana. I think it's because it's the ace through the 10. There's the 10 Sephiroth. That would make the most sense to be like, this takes precedent. And yeah, I believe that's what they started off with. We would have to have like sat in the room if we want to be like with Mathers or whoever that did the correspondences, and we're like, okay, this is how we're going to do it with getting, you know, one of these decks and looking at, you know, the minors at that and being like, you know, oh, we have all these cards here, and then let's layer on our own correspondences on top of that. We, in our own way, we have to see if, you know, how, if what, you know, I'm pretty sure the Ciceros that wrote that one, I believe they know their shit, so I'm pretty sure that might be correct. But honestly, from what I've seen, it's like it's some of the Decanic stuff just overpowers the Tree of Life stuff, the Sephiroth, that each card is in, sometimes that it's like really hard to kind of see them like as that. But other times the opposite is true, like the 5 of discs. For me, it's actually more like a variation. Some of them are like, oh yeah, that's very much like Sephiroth is influencing this card far more than the Decan. Other times it's like a perfect blend. Other times it's the Decan that takes precedent over it. It just, image wise, it just varies. For the most part, it should be a perfect mixing of all of them. I feel like a perfect blending of all. Well, I guess it shouldn't be perfect. if they're cards like the fives, or like Crowley looked at the lower two, the sevens and the eights, is pretty bad in his perspective. So yeah, for the most part, yeah, I think it should be a blend, and I think it's yeah.
Hmm.
But for the most part, it's supposed to help with numerology. The Tree of Life is their numerology. There's other numerology. I need to look more into those. But for the only other numerology that I see is Pythagorean numerology, I believe, or non-Kabbalistic. I can't remember what outside of that. But for the most part, it's the meanings of those 1 through 10 in the Tree of Life is what the numerology is in there for those minors. But yeah, Pythagorean, I
Yeah.
think Marielle uses that one sometimes, maybe.
Yeah. And for you as a reader, like knowing all these things, and like, do you find it easier to read then, or is it just more confusing? Like, what would you say?
Studying it makes it more confusing, but reading with it, I have found that it's like what I study. It's like, oh, this is kind of reflective of what someone is asking in a reading. It's like, oh yeah, this, And I think for the most part, there's some like overlap. Like, I think both like the Pythagorean and the Kabbalistic both view the number 5 as bad, and but I'm pretty sure if you went to like numerology in China, like the number 4 is seen as unlucky, and all that. But here it's like structure, stability, security, even. And 7 is a lucky number here, whereas I think over there maybe 5. I can't. Nope, not gonna say. Nope, don't know. It's a different number. But anyways, but knowing that it's yeah, it can get confusing. It's just a matter of, again, this is when it gets confusing. This is when you're like, this vibes way more. This makes more sense to me. This also works though, but I like this more. It's very much that. Like right now with the 10s, I was like, should I bring up the Tarot of the Holy Light, where they don't put decans on the 10s and they put just like the whole like trines of the element? So it's like the 10 of Swords is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and that's the whole, and all that with the 10s, because that makes more sense as like completion of that element, and it's the whole 3 signs of that element there. That makes great sense. And sometimes like looking at how she pushes the decans back, so like the aces then get the first decans of the cardinal signs, and so there it's like that, like, it also makes sense. I can't argue with that. It's like, yeah, so it does get a bit confusing, but only in the studying part. Reading, for the most part, that kind of takes a back seat, and the image just takes the front row there. Yeah. It should all feed into the image, I think.
What I found in all of this, like going through the tree and relating that back to tarot, I found that none of these cards are actually scary in the way that we sometimes see it in just like RWS books, like Tower, Devil, 3 of Swords, 10 of Swords, those kind of cards that people are usually scared of getting in a reading as the client. But in going through all of these things, like I found so many other things in those cards, especially like on a psychological level and relating it back to my own life, that there really isn't anything scary about these cards.
Nope.
And that just makes me laugh even more when it comes to people like She Who Shall Not Be Named, Doreen Virtue, because in one of her videos, she at some point said, that was after her converting back to whatever. And she said that when she had a tarot deck, like a classic deck, she took out those cards because she just didn't want to get them in a reading. But then I'm thinking, okay, if you're scared of them, then is tarot even the right tool for you, or something like, just, I don't know. But like this, for me, it really helped me to get into some of those cards that seem to be a little bit tricky, and to find out that there's nothing really inherently bad about these cards. It's just, okay, like the tower, there's also a blessing in it. It's nothing to be like, oh my God, the tower, everything is like, no, like there's a moment of opportunity in it, and then it's up to me as the client, or if I'm reading for myself, to rather look for the positive thing and find that moment of opportunity instead of focusing on like, oh my God, everything's crumbling down now. So in that sense, this has helped me a lot to deal with the meanings of cards.
Yep. With every opportunity or with every lesson, there is opportunity. So, absolutely.
Any other questions? Carla, did you have a question?
Oh, I had just asked Zach earlier about the Sephiroth or whatever. I think that's how it's pronounced. The on the, which you guys already covered that. There's 10 of them, and I just thought it was interesting that we were talking about tens. And and look here.
Yeah.
Yeah, who came up with that design?
I don't know. It's freaking brilliant.
And why do only we have that for the most part? Like other animals, like they don't really have that. So what makes us so special?
What makes us unique?
That's what the tree of life is all about. That's literally, those are the questions that the Kabbalists are meditating on. They use the hands and the toes, and like I believe the sensory organs as well. Like I think the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, and I'm not sure what else, but the genitalia as well, and the digestive tract. Yeah, that was all counted as well, I think. Yeah, the numbers, it's all number playing how it plays. Yeah, I got the Sefer Yetzirah gets into that, but that's a very like, it's not like, if you're new to Kabbalah, like it's like you get there after you're like familiar with, the basics, I guess, the Sephiroth and the paths, I guess. Once you get
right into it.
Was that?
I said, like, for myself, it's not like I could just jump ahead and skip ahead and understand it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, which is, it's funny because that's like the first, like the Sefer Yetzirah was like the first Kabbalistic text. I think it's one of the first, one of the oldest. That's where like all of it is like based off on, and so yeah, it was like, well, like okay, and yeah, there's more to it.
I'm reading a book about magic right now, and it's surprising because I wasn't expecting to hear, what you are talking about with the tarot and the different paths and stuff, but it's like it's all associated with what you're like Hod and Yesod and like the alphabet, I guess, maybe. And I'm just, it's like it's all connected. So I mean, I feel like here, well, that's obvious. You got to get into tarot.
I'm like, what book was it that you were reading on magic?
Eliphas Levi, the a high magic ritual of high magic.
Yeah. That's pretty Kabbalistically infused as well. A lot of high magic. Yeah, high magic stuff. Yeah, that's I'm surprised that's very like, I'm not ready to approach that, but I mean like magic is a whole nother thing for me. I'm like, I have some books back there, but I'm like, I'll get to it when I'm ready, hopefully. But yeah.
I'm gonna read it more than once, believe me.
It's one where you read a sentence and you're like, okay, let me read it again and see if I understand what he says this time.
I know that feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, seems we've covered everything regarding the tens, and the way that we're going to proceed with this series is I actually went back to look at the other videos because this has been like so much information that we've been going through, so I kind of already forgot some of the things that we were talking about. And so I looked at the first episode, and even though there's a lot of good information in there, but we're going to do a take 2 on episode 1 next time. because we didn't really go quite into the aces and into the magician in depth the way that we have been started doing it after that. So we're going to do that one again and really look at the aces. So that episode will air sometime in December. And then next year, starting in January, I think, did we say January 8th? Maybe, question mark. We're going to start with the court cards, and we're going to go through those 4 remaining episodes. And Zach will also join us for episode 14 when we talk about the kings, and we wrap everything up in a pretty bow. We're going to have opinions. We're going to talk. And so don't miss that. That might be in February or March, whatever the calendar gives us. So yeah, that's what we're going to do with the rest of these episodes. Other than that, thank you to everyone who was here today in chat, and thanks for watching the replay. Yeah, if you have any comments about the 10s, how you read them, or the sun card, the wheel, let us know in the comment section. Otherwise, if we don't see you before Christmas, everyone have a good Christmas time, and we'll see you next time. Take care and bye.